Sir Alaric of Draymore was the kingdom's pride, a knight whose sword defended the crown and whose loyalty was said to be unbreakable. Yet even the strongest armor cannot shield a heart from desire. The queen, Lady Isolda, was beauty incarnate, golden-haired, soft-spoken, and caged within a loveless marriage to King Edwin the Stern. Their affair began in silence, a touch during a dance, a glance too long beneath torchlight, but what was born in whispers soon burned in secret chambers. They met beneath the chapel, where moonlight spilled through stained glass, and vows of love replaced vows of duty. When a jeweled locket engraved with Alaric's crest was found in the queen's chambers, the king's fury set the realm ablaze. Alaric was branded a traitor, his men slaughtered, and Isolda imprisoned. But love made Alaric reckless. He led a rebellion to free her, and the land split in two. The final battle raged beneath stormy skies. Alaric struck down the king but fell mortally wounded. As the castle burned, Isolda cradled him in her arms, whispering, "We were doomed the moment we loved." By dawn, both were gone, and the kingdom lay in ashes, destroyed not by enemies, but by a forbidden love, too fierce for the mortal world. Sir Roland of Highmark was the bravest knight under Lord Heron's banner, until the day he met Lady Alara, his commander's betrothed. Her laughter was like spring after a winter campaign, her gaze a weapon stronger than any blade. They tried to resist, but passion cares little for vows. Under moonlit corridors, they met in secret. Letters sealed with wax carried words that could topple thrones. When Lord Heron discovered their affair, he dragged Alara before the court and sentenced her to die. Roland, desperate and enraged, turned his sword on his lord. He fled the castle and rallied exiled knights' men who'd lost faith in their masters. Together they stormed Huron's fortress, the night air filled with screams, steel, and fire. When Roland reached the tower, Alara lay slain by the man she had once been promised to. With bloodied hands, Roland killed Huron and set the castle ablaze. His vengeance did not end there. Kingdoms took sides, turning one act of passion into a decade of war. By the time peace returned, songs no longer called Roland a hero. They named him the Knight of Fire, the man whose love scorched the land and left nothing but ruin behind. Sir Cedric was the blade of the crown, bound by loyalty and faith, yet within him stirred a love that defied both. Princess Eleonora, young and radiant, saw in him not a knight, but a man who understood her heart. Their love began as a whisper, stolen glances during court gatherings, smiles hidden behind goblets of wine. When the first war erupted, Cedric was sent to the front. Eleonora wrote to him every moon, sealing each letter with her tear-stained crest. When peace returned, they met in the royal garden and vowed to escape together, a promise that doomed them both. The queen discovered their secret, burning their letters before the council. Eleonora was confined to a convent, and Cedric was ordered to lead a hopeless campaign on the borderlands, a death sentence masked as honor. Yet instead of dying, Cedric turned his sword on his own army, forming a rebellion in her name. The war that followed destroyed the royal line. The king fell to madness, the queen took poison, and the princess vanished from the convent. Some say Cedric found her, and they fled to the wildlands. Others whisper their ghosts, wander the ruins, eternal lovers who shattered royal honor for love that refused to die. Lady Seraphine of Durham was beauty made flesh, admired by lords, envied by queens. Her heart, however, belonged to no nobleman, but to Sir Garrick, a knight of humble birth who had saved her life during a border raid. Their love was pure, but purity is fragile in a world ruled by pride. For months, they met in secret gardens, speaking in riddles of love and eternity. But when the crown prince, jealous and obsessed, sought Seraphine's hand, everything unraveled. One night, he found her in Garrick's arms beneath the castle's rose archway. Rage consumed him. He struck Garrick down and declared vengeance upon the knight's homeland. The kingdoms of Northreek and Durham were soon drenched in blood.
Garrick survived his wounds and returned to war, leading men under a banner bearing her sigil, a white rose on crimson.
4 years, they fought, neither side yielding. When the final siege ended, Garrick breached the enemy's castle only to find Seraphine gone. Legends claim she leapt from the highest tower rather than become a prize of war. Garrick fell upon his sword beside her empty gown. Their love ended the war, but their tragedy became its eternal echo. So Tristan of Vellora was bound to Queen Evelyn by oath, sworn to protect her after the king's death in battle. Yet grief is fertile soil for forbidden love. Night after night, the widowed queen sought comfort in Tristan's company, at first in words, then in touch, and finally in the embrace that sealed their fate. They believed their secret safe. But fate is a cruel listener. When the queen bore a child with eyes as gray as Tristan's, the whispers began. The council demanded truth, and the archbishop declared the babe illegitimate. The throne trembled, nobles divided, and the child, the living proof of their love, became a curse. To save her, Tristan smuggled the queen and their son from the castle under moonlight. For 3 days, they fled through storms and forests, hunted by soldiers sworn to the crown. At the cliffs of Morwen, cornered and desperate, Evelyn kissed Tristan one last time. She leaped into the roaring sea with the child in her arms. Tristan followed without hesitation. Some say their bodies were never found. Sailors still whisper that on nights of thunder. 2 figures walked the waves hand in hand. The knight and the queen, bound forever by a deadly secret that even death could not drown. Sir Edmund was a man of valor and silence, a warrior whose loyalty to Lord Albrecht was unquestioned. But when he first saw Lady Helena, the lord's wife, weaving garlands in the garden, something inside him shifted forever. She was light to his shadow, laughter to his silence. He tried to resist, but she saw through his walls. Their meetings began under the pretense of music lessons, yet soon turned into whispered confessions of forbidden love. Every touch, every word, carried the risk of death. When Lord Albrecht learned of the affair from a jealous servant, he set a trap. Edmund was lured to the castle chapel under the guise of confession, only to be ambushed by guards. He fought bravely, cutting down men he had once trained beside, but was captured. Helena begged for his life, kneeling before her husband. But mercy was a stranger to Albrecht's heart. Edmund was hanged at dawn, his body left for the crows. That night, Lady Helena drank poison and joined him in death.
By morning, their spirits were said to wander the castle halls. 2 souls, eternally reaching for one another.
Punished not for sin, but for loving beyond their station. In the tranquil kingdom of Caelwyn, Lady Mirabelle was famed for her grace and virtue, yet behind her, serene smile hid a heart that beat wildly for Sir Thane, a knight sworn to protect her husband, the Duke of Ren. Their love was expressed not through embraces, but through letters, pages of poetry sealed with longing and wax. For months, their secret correspondence thrived until one letter, never meant to be seen, was intercepted by a rival lord. Its contents, promises of escape and eternal love, were delivered straight to the Duke. Enraged by betrayal, the Duke accused Thane of treason and demanded trial by combat. But Thane refused to fight his lord, choosing instead to flee with Mirabelle. The Duke declared war on all who harbored them, and within weeks, Caelwyn's green hills were red with blood. The lovers were captured during the siege of Thornvale. Before the Duke's blade fell, Thane cried, "You cannot kill what love has already immortalized." They died together, holding hands as the flames consumed the city. Years later, the charred ruins of Thornvale became a monument, not to war, but to 2 love letters that changed the fate of nations. Queen Arabella ruled beside a cruel and aging king who trusted only his knights and none more than Sir Leoric, the captain of her guard. He was a man of quiet loyalty, yet his heart betrayed him each time her hand brushed his. What began as stolen glances became a secret affair wrapped in shadows and fear. They met in the old watchtower, where no servant dared to tread. For years, their love remained hidden, until the queen's chambermaid, driven by greed, sold their secret to the king. The king, enraged, ordered Leoric's public execution. But on the day of the hanging, Arabella arrived in armor, leading the royal guard in revolt. Steel clashed against steel as the castle drowned in chaos. The king was slain upon his own throne, and the lovers crowned themselves rulers of a blood-stained kingdom. Yet peace never followed. Betrayal, bread, mistrust, and whispers of the scandal spread through every corner of the realm. Enemies rose, calling her the Queen of Sin. In the end, Leoric fell in battle defending her crown, and Arabella drank the same poison that once took her husband. Their thrones turned to dust, but their love remained carved in legend. A scandal of blood and steel. In the Golden Empire of Silencia, Princess Lyra was destined to marry a foreign prince to seal a peace treaty. But when she met Sir Cassian, the bodyguard assigned to escort her destiny took a darker turn. Cassian was everything the court despised, born of common blood, yet noble in spirit. He guarded her carriage through forests and storms, their silence thick with unspoken feeling. One night, as thunder raged above, Lyra confessed her fear of the marriage. Cassian promised her safety, and in a single moment of weakness, they kissed. That kiss changed everything. A spy witnessed the act and carried word to the Emperor. The alliance collapsed overnight.
The foreign prince declared war, calling the empire
Cassian was sentenced to death, and Lyra was confined within the palace. But love turned Lyra fearless. She freed Cassian from his cell and fled with him into the wild. Armies pursued them, battles erupted, and thousands died in their wake. In the final siege, Cassian was slain, protecting her. Lyra, grief-stricken, surrendered herself to end the war. Yet bards still sing of their single kiss, the one that defied empires and rewrote the course of history. Sir Alder de Viro was the most disciplined of knights, cold, distant, and loyal only to the sword. But his resolve faltered the night he met Lady Katrine, the young widow of the late Duke. Her sorrow was a mirror of his own. Both had lost everything to war. What began as compassion grew into something darker. Their secret love defied the crown's decree, for Katrin was promised to the king's brother as part of a fragile alliance. Yet neither could resist. In the stillness of the chapel, where prayers once echoed, they found solace in each other's arms. When the affair was discovered, the king declared it treason. Uldred was stripped of title and cast out, while Lady Katrin was imprisoned in the northern tower. In fury, Uldred gathered outlaws, mercenaries, and broken knights, men with nothing left to lose. For 2 years, he waged a private war against the crown, burning villages and ambushing royal convoys. His banner, a crimson rose pierced by a sword, became the symbol of vengeance. In the end, he stormed the castle and freed Katrin, only to die in her embrace, pierced by arrows.
As dawn rose, Katrin leapt into the flames beside him, two souls united by forbidden desire, and a war that vengeance itself could not quench.
Sir Renard was the king's shadow, the commander of his armies, the man who had ended 3 wars.
But even shadows crave the light.
That light came in the form of Princess Mera, the king's sister, bold, radiant, and utterly forbidden. Their affair was perilous from the start.
They met in the library at midnight, hidden between ancient tomes and fading candlelight.
Mera dreamed of a life beyond court walls. Renard dreamed only of her. But one evening, a letter meant for Renard fell into the hands of a spy. Within days, the rumor spread. The princess had betrayed the royal bloodline. The king flew into rage, accusing Renard of treason. Torn between duty and love, Renard chose Mera, abducting her from the palace and fleeing south. Armies followed, and the realm divided, half for the king, half for the lovers. The war lasted 7 years. When Renard was finally captured, the king offered Mera mercy in exchange for his head. She refused.
They were executed together at dawn, hands bound but eyes unbroken.
Bards say the crown never recovered.
Not from rebellion, nor from the memory of the lovers who broke it in the name of love.
Sir Lucien
Was honor itself, a knight who never lied, never faltered, never loved.
But when Lady Aurelia entered his life, that final virtue fell. She was betrothed to Duke Harland, Lucien's oldest friend and ally. Her laughter haunted Lucien's nights. Her kindness wounded his conscience. For months, he buried his desire beneath armor and prayer. But one night, after a feast, drenched in wine, she found him in the courtyard and confessed the same torment. Their kiss beneath the moon sealed their doom. When Harlan discovered them, he challenged Lucian to a duel, not for vengeance, but for honor. The duel drew nobles and peasants alike, eager to witness tragedy. They fought from sunrise to dusk, blades clashing with the sound of heartbreak. Lucian struck the fatal blow, then dropped his sword in horror. He refused to live, begging Aurelia to forgive him. She fell to her knees beside Harlan's body, weeping. "You've slain my future and your own." Lucian vanished that night. Years later, travelers spoke of a ghostly knight wandering battlefields, guarding graves instead of kingdoms. They said he sought redemption not from God, but from love, the only war he ever truly lost. In the noble house of Winthorpe, honor was everything. Sir Adrian, heir to the family name, was raised to uphold it at all costs. Yet fate tested him when he met Lady Ileana, his cousin's wife, and the most enchanting woman he had ever known.
Their affair began in shadows, stolen moments at feasts, quiet rides through the forest.
They knew discovery would mean death, but love has a way of silencing fear. When Ileana became with child, they plotted to flee before the truth emerged. But secrets never stay buried. During a feast, the Lord Steward revealed their betrayal before the entire hall. Chaos erupted. Adrian's father demanded his son's execution to cleanse the family's name. Ileana was dragged away, her cries echoing through the castle corridors. Adrian refused to repent. He broke from his chains and fled with her, only to be hunted by his own kin.
Cornered at the cliffs, he chose love over legacy.
Holding Ileana close, he leaped into the sea, taking the last heir of Winthorpe with him. The house fell soon after its lands divided, its name cursed, and so ended a noble line. Not by war or plague, but by the secret affair of two hearts that defied their blood. Sir Gareth of Redvale had no fear in battle, until he met the one woman he could never claim. Lady Rosamond, the daughter of his sworn enemy, was the prize of a peace treaty between warring clans.
When Gareth was sent to escort her to her new husband, fate twisted the blade of his heart.
She was unlike any he had known, proud, intelligent, and unafraid to challenge his silence. Through long nights on the road, they spoke of duty, loss, and freedom. Love bloomed like a secret fire between them. When they reached her husband's fortress, Gareth could not let her go. That night,
He stole her away, knowing it would bring war upon his house.
armies clashed by dawn, two nations burning for the sin of their love. Gareth fought through the battlefield to reach her tower, but an arrow struck him down. Rosamond rushed to his side, cradling him as the fortress fell around them. His last words were, "I would die 1,000 times if it meant loving you once." She buried him beneath a single white rose tree. From that day on, no one dared to cut its flowers, for they were said to grow from the blood of a knight who risked his life for forbidden love. Sir Rohan was a knight famed for valor, the chosen defender of King Darius's daughter, Princess She was gentle, curious, and kind, a flower sheltered from the world of swords and banners. But when war took her father's armies to the front, the castle grew quiet, and loneliness whispered dangerous things. Rowan guarded her chambers by day, but by night, her soft voice drew him inside. They spoke of dreams, of freedom, of life beyond walls of gold.
What began as conversation became confession, and soon, love.
Yet theirs was a love built on peril. When King Darius returned victorious, he found Arundel's token, a ribbon bound around Rowan's sword. In a fit of rage, he declared his daughter defiled and ordered the knight's execution. Arundel defied him, freeing Rowan from the dungeons. Together, they fled the castle under a blood-red moon. The king unleashed his armies upon them, igniting a war that split the realm between crown and compassion. Castles fell, rivers ran red, and all for a love that began in whispers. In the end, both lovers were captured and burned together.
The king watched without blinking, unaware that his vengeance had already turned his victory into ruin.
Queen Seraphina ruled beside King Theobald, a man known for his cruelty and pride. yet behind her crown lay sorrow. Her heart belonged not to her husband, but to Sir Julian, the youngest knight of the royal guard, brave, devoted, and hopelessly in love with his queen. Their affair was silent, hidden in secret letters and moonlit corridors, but guilt gnawed at Seraphine's soul until she could bear it no longer. In a moment of weakness, she confessed her sin to the royal confessor, unaware that the priest served the king's brother, Duke Alain. Within a week, the secret spread through the court like wildfire. The king ordered Julian's arrest, but his knights, sworn more to love than to loyalty, turned against him. Seraphina fled with Julian, and the kingdom fractured overnight. Two armies clashed, one fighting for the crown, the other for their queen's freedom. The war lasted 3 bitter years. Julian was slain in battle, and Seraphina was captured, her crown stripped away. Yet before her execution, she looked to the sky and whispered, "If love is a sin, then heaven itself is guilty." Her death ended the war, but her confession became legend. The queen, whose truth drowned kingdoms in blood. Sir Benedict had been raised beside King Leontes since childhood. They were brothers in all but name, until a secret tore them apart. 4 years, Benedict had loved Queen Adeline in silence, worshipping her from afar. She was gentle, graceful, and trapped in a loveless throne. When the king fell ill, Benedict nursed him,
but his heart betrayed him.
One night, while tending her grief, Adeline fell into his arms. Their love was brief but eternal, sealed in a single night of passion neither could forget. When the king recovered, his joy turned to horror upon learning the truth. He summoned Benedict to the throne room and demanded his confession. Benedict did not deny it. "My love for her was my only sin," he said. Leontes ordered him executed at dawn. But that night, Adeline freed him, urging him to flee the castle. He refused, and instead walked willingly to the scaffold. His death broke her completely. The next day, she poisoned the king's wine and took her own life beside Benedict's grave. The kingdom fell into chaos, and Leontes's bloodline ended in death. The lovers were buried together beneath a single stone that read, "He was loyal in war and treacherous only in love." Sir Conrad was ambitious, charming, and ruthless, a knight who desired both power and the Lady Elena, wife of the rival Lord Marrow. To win her love, he told her lies woven from moonlight and promises, claiming her husband plotted treason, that the crown would fall without her help. Terrified, Elena betrayed her husband's plans to Conrad, believing she was saving the realm. But Conrad twisted her words, forging letters that framed Marrow as a traitor. When the king received them, he declared war upon Marrow's lands. The conflict consumed half the kingdom. Villages burned, soldiers fell, and all because of one knight's deceit. Yet when Elena learned the truth, that her lover had started the war, she turned against him. She confronted Conrad in the ruins of a chapel as flames devoured the countryside. He tried to justify his treachery, claiming it was all for love. She stabbed him through the heart with his own dagger, whispering, "You destroyed my world, not for love, but for pride." When the war ended, no victor remained. Both houses perished, and bards forever sang of the war, born not from hate, but from a lover's lie. King Armand was a just ruler, wise in counsel, merciful in war, but blind to the shadows in his court. His queen, Rosalind, was lonely, for her husband's duties kept him far from her heart. Into that emptiness stepped Sir Darien, captain of the royal guard, a man sworn to protect her, not love her. Their affair began during the winter of the famine, when the queen sought comfort in his company. They met in hidden corridors, writing letters in coded ink and sharing moments that could have destroyed them both. When the king discovered their betrayal, he did not weep. He raised his banner. Darien was declared an outlaw, and those who sympathized with the queen joined his cause. The realm fractured, one half loyal to the king, the other to love. The civil war lasted 6 years. Kingdoms that once thrived were reduced to ash. In the end, Darien was captured and executed before the queen's eyes. Rosalind was forced into exile, her crown stripped, and her name cursed. Yet centuries later, people still whispered her story of a queen and a knight who divided an empire for a love that neither
Death nor history could silence.
Sir Cedric was known across the realm as the most loyal knight of the Crimson Order. His oath to Lord Halric was sacred: protect his land, his people, and above all, his lady.
But Lady Mirren was beauty itself, quiet, sorrowful, and trapped in a loveless union with the cold and distant Halric. It began with stolen glances, then confessions whispered between sword practice and prayer.
The night Halric left for campaign, Cedric broke his vow.
Their love burned fierce and secret, hidden beneath the veil of loyalty. When the Lord returned, a single silver locket, Cedric's gift, betrayed them both.
Halric's rage tore through reason.
He ordered Cedric's execution, but the knight escaped with Mirren into the wild. Halric swore vengeance, gathering armies to hunt them down. The ensuing war left thousands dead, and the Crimson Order shattered. In the end, the lovers were cornered at the ruins of an abbey. Surrounded and wounded, they chose to die together, their hands clasped as the flames consumed the night. Their love had defied honor, and in doing so, destroyed its Sir Alden. A knight of the Western Marshes was captured during a border skirmish and brought before Lady Isabel, betrothed to his enemy, Lord Tar. Instead of cruelty, she showed mercy, tending to his wounds herself. From that act of kindness bloomed a dangerous affection. As weeks passed, they met in secret, their hearts defying the blood feud between their houses. Alden promised to flee with her across the sea once the war ended. But love has no place in politics.
Lord Tarquin discovered this secret before the wedding night.
He accused Isabel of treason and had Alden dragged before his court. "You have stolen my honor," Tarquin declared. Alden replied calmly, "No, my lord, I have given her what you never could: freedom." Tarquin's wrath sparked war. The two lords' armies clashed, and both men fell in battle, one fighting for pride, the other for love. Lady Isabel vanished, never seen again. Some say she fled to the sea, carrying Alden's sword with her. Others claim she haunts the cliffs, waiting for her knight to return. The Order of the Silver Cross had stood united for generations, until one forbidden affair tore it apart. Sir Gareth, noble and disciplined, fell for Lady Rowena, wife of his sworn brother, Sir Lionel. They tried to resist, but passion is stronger than loyalty. Their love flourished in shadow, until a careless letter revealed their secret. When Lionel discovered it, he challenged Gareth to a duel before the entire order. The fight was fierce, not for honor, but heartbreak. Gareth refused to strike, but Lionel's blade showed no mercy. Bleeding on the ground, Gareth whispered, "It was love, not betrayal." Rowena screamed as Lionel struck the killing blow. The Brotherhood shattered that day. Half the knights condemned Lionel for murder. The other half followed him to rebellion. What began as a duel between two men became a decade-long civil war. When peace finally returned, the order was gone, its halls burned, its oath forgotten. And all that remained was a legend. That love, once pure, had destroyed the purest brotherhood ever sworn beneath the cross. In the golden city of Valoria, Prince Aemon led the royal armies, and at his side rode Lady Kayla, a warrior, and knight sworn to his command. She was fierce, loyal, and utterly devoted. But loyalty turned to love, and love to ruin. They hid their affection for years, meeting in shadowed chambers between campaigns. Yet when Queen Isolde, Aemon's wife, discovered their secret, she did not cry. She waged war. Isolde allied with neighboring kingdoms, declaring her husband a sinner unfit to rule. Armies clashed across Valoria. Fire devoured cities, and the royal bloodline fell to chaos. In the final siege, Kayla fought beside Aemon, her armor soaked in blood. When the castle fell, Aemon was slain by his queen's assassins. Kayla took up his crown and declared herself the last defender of his love. Surrounded by fire, she threw herself from the tower, her sword blazing like a comet. The kingdom burned for 7 years, and from its ashes rose no heir, only legend.
They said Valoria perished, not from war, but from a love too fierce for any throne to hold.
Sir Lucan and Sir Percival were brothers in arms, bound by honor and friendship. Both served Queen Althea, young, widowed, and fair beyond compare. They swore to protect her, but love turned their oath to rivalry. When the queen's heart secretly leaned toward Lucan, jealousy poisoned Percival's soul. He challenged his brother to a duel, claiming the queen's honor demanded it. Althea wept, but neither knight would yield. The duel lasted from dawn to dusk, steel clashing beneath crimson skies. In the end, Lucan's sword found Percival's heart, and the victor knelt beside his dying brother, crying, "I never wanted this!" The queen's court divided instantly, half blaming her, half Lucan. Noble houses rebelled, and the capital erupted in war. Within months, the queen's realm was in ruins. Her knights dead, her throne empty. Althea vanished into legend, wandering cloaked through the war-torn lands, mourning to men who had loved her too much. The duel that began with love ended with the fall of a crown, proof that even the purest affection can destroy kingdoms when tested by pride. Sir Edric was the king's most trusted general, loyal, brave, and undefeated. Yet behind his armor, he hid a secret. His heart belonged to Lady Chalain, the king's mistress. She was beauty incarnate, a woman who could command armies with her eyes alone. Their affair began in secret chambers and ended in flames. Chalain whispered to Edric of the king's cruelty, of his plots against the people. Edric believed her and turned his sword from crown to heart. But Chalaina's words were lies whispered by foreign spies who paid her in gold and glory. When Edric led his men against the king, Chalain fled the castle with her reward, leaving him branded a traitor. The war raged for 2 long years, until Edric finally learned the truth that his rebellion was built on deceit. He captured Chalain as she tried to escape across the border. Looking into her eyes, he wept, then plunged his sword into her chest. "I fought for love," he said, "but died for lies." The rebellion crumbled, and Edric was executed. Yet his final words echoed through history, a warning that even the purest knight can fall when love turns into a weapon. Princess Elowyn was born heir to the kingdom of Falmar, destined for power, not passion.
But destiny broke the day she met Sir Corin, a common-born knight whose courage shone brighter than gold.
They met in secret beneath the old chapel, where vows of love were exchanged like stolen treasures. Yet their bond could never be public, for her father had promised her hand to the Duke of Harrow to seal an alliance. When the Duke discovered her betrayal, he marched his armies to Thalmar's gates, declaring the royal family The war that followed tore the realm apart. Corin fought valiantly, but was captured and executed, his head displayed on the castle walls as warning. Elowyn's father forced her into marriage with the Duke, but on their wedding night, she poisoned his wine and fled the castle disguised as a servant. She vanished into legend, a princess who traded her crown for grief and her throne for love.
To this day, travelers speak of a woman in armor, wandering the forests of Thelma,
Guarding her lover Esgrave beneath the moonlight, the lost princess who chose the sword over the crown. The Knights of St. Aurelius were bound by sacred vows, faith, purity, and loyalty to the church.
Yetosa, Mashiasu, their greatest champion,
Broke them all for one woman, Sister Evelyn, a healer sworn to silence and devotion. What began as prayer became passion. Their secret affair flourished in the quiet hours of confession, hidden behind the veil of piety. But when a jealous brother discovered them, the Holy Council branded them heretics. Matthias fled with Evelyn into the mountains, pursued by his own brothers in. Refusing to surrender, he raised a rebellion of exiled knights who believed love was holier than law. The church declared a crusade against them, a war between heaven and heart. Evelyn was captured and executed by fire. In vengeance, Matthias stormed the abbey that condemned her and burned it to ashes. His final words before falling in battle were, "If love is sin, then let all saints burn." The Holy Order fell soon after, its relics scattered, its name erased. Yet among the ruins, bards still sing of the knight who loved a nun and brought heaven itself to its knees.
Sir Roderick and Sir Valin were brothers, born of the same blood, sworn to the same king.
Yet fate divided them when Queen Liana entered their lives. She was fierce, clever, and beautiful enough to make kingdoms tremble. Both brothers loved her, but she loved only one Roderick. Their affair was secret, hidden behind royal feasts and formal smiles. When Valen discovered the truth, rage consumed him. He exposed them to the king, who ordered Roderick's arrest and Lyanna's exile. But Roderick escaped, raising his own army to reclaim both his honor and his queen. Valen, torn between guilt and fury, led the royal forces against him. The battle that followed was brutal.
Brother against brother. Love against loyalty.
In the final clash, Roderick struck Valen down, but could not finish the blow. "Forgive me," he whispered. Valen smiled faintly before driving his own blade through Roderick's chest. The war ended with both dead and the queen in mourning. She built a tower between their graves so that no one would forget the War of Brothers. A war born not of power, but of a woman's touch. In the twilight of the old kingdoms, when Anna still had meaning, there lived Sir Tristan, the last of the High Knights, and Lady Mara, wife of the Duke of... Their love was pure, yet doomed from the first glance. Theirs was no secret for long. When the Duke discovered the affair, he accused Tristan of treason and demanded the crown punish him. But the king, weary of bloodshed, refused. Enraged, the Duke raised his banners and declared war on both knight and crown. Tristan led the royal army to defend his name, but as the war dragged on, he grew haunted by guilt. In the final battle, he refused to fight, throwing down his sword before both armies. "No victory is worth a heart's ruin," he declared. He was struck down where he stood, unarmed, unafraid, and unrepentant. The war ended that day, but the kingdom fell soon after. People said the Age of Knights ended with him. The last man who chose love over honor and peace over pride. His name was lost to history, but his legend lived on, proof that even the mightiest chivalry could crumble beneath the weight of a single forbidden kiss. A dramatic medieval fantasy scene showing a knight in shining armor and a royal woman, queen, or princess, standing close under torchlight, both looking torn between love and betrayal. Behind them, a burning castle and two massive medieval armies clash in the background. The knight holds his sword down, symbolizing conflict and forbidden love. The sky glows red with fire and passion. Cinematic lighting, ultra-realistic detail, medieval armor, royal dress, emotional expressions, epic atmosphere, war and romance theme. 4K, fantasy illustration style.